Fine. Then start reading the next topic.
Should I summarize the last topic? Yes, from yesterday.
Yes, summarize the last one and continue with the next.
The two formats of Maya are one, Akshiti Prakshiti, and two, Anyata Pratibhut. Maya is a power of Brahm and is used by Brahm for hiding his form. Maya is infatuating, which means it creates ignorance. If everyone goes in a unified way, Lalan will not enjoy his sport. Lalan conceals himself, and since we are the players, we are supposed to find him like a game of hide and seek. So why are we not able to find him? We can explain this with the example of a chair. We may not be able to realize that the chair is Brahm himself. This is the first thing that Maya does. She hides the true form of everything. Maya also misleads people. Now people have attachment to each and every object and have mamta and ahamta. All the Devi Jeeves who would be free from the bondages from Maya by practicing the understanding of everything is Brahm, and everything belongs to Brahm. This will free us from the bondages of Maya. The first function of Maya is to hide the bond between us and Bhagavan. The second function of Maya is that the beings begin to have separate identities, like I am a student, I am a daughter, or I am Riya, and etc. The beings also think that some things are good and some things are bad, when really everything is Brahm. We also feel that some things are ours and have attachment to beings and objects. When someone is nirgun, they have no feeling of sorrow, loss, or attachment. Anyata means the auxiliary form. Should I read today's topic?
Yes.
Okay. The process of infatuation. First of all, Maya covers the intellect of beings with nescience. Thereafter, she creates Maya or elusive subjects in the intellect of beings, which are similar to the worldly objects. Because of the creation of Mayic subjects, the intellect of beings becomes so much confused that they begin to understand the objects in a way in which they appear to them under the influence of Maya. When such beings come into contact with the subjects of the universe, what happens to them is stated thus. The reflection of Mayika subjects that have remained in the intellect of beings spreads over the realistic subjects of the universe under the influence of Maya. When the reflection of Mayika objects on the subjects of the universe as white object appears red when the red light is thrown upon it. Similarly, the subjects of the universe, instead of being accepted in their pure form, are going to be accepted with the elusive attributes of Maya. As the intellect of the being is covered with Maya, the being remains ignorant. This process can be understood easily with the example of a child. As the state of the being at this time is like that of a rash and ignorant child, so he cannot discriminate between good and bad, high and low, noble and ignoble, and pleasant and unpleasant. A young child doesn't understand anything, so he believes and understands the thing as he sees and is explained. If he is taught that a particular thing is not good, he will understand it as bad. Similarly, if he is taught what is bad is good, he will begin to believe and understand it is good. It is as good. Now, whenever any good thing is brought up before the child, he will treat it as bad. Moreover, that object will appear bad to him. It is though this very process that Maya deludes and misleads beings. This process will be explained in the detail in the next chapter of Jeev, on Jeev. Should I summarize this?
Yes.
Okay. This paragraph is talking about the process of Maya. The first step in this process is to make the beings have lack of knowledge of the all-pervading self of Brahm. The second step of this process is to create elusive titles and attachments to materialistic things, such as having attachment to the body, to each other, and worldly objects, or ahanta and mamta. Bhagwan uses his power so that the world is not the same, because Lalan then won't enjoy his form. One of the reasons he creates Maya is so that the Devijis who are chosen to do his seva will have challenges in this Kali Yuga that accord from Maya. Only true Devijis will get out of the cycle of birth and death. Once the being's intellect is retained with Maya, realistic objects too are under the influence of Maya. The subjects of the universe accept the illusionary form of Maya instead of the pure divine form of Brahma. An example arises here. As a young child's mind will believe anything, not knowing whether it's good or bad. Maya works to make your brain not know which one is the good and which one is bad.
So as we understood yesterday, that Maya is the power of Bhagwan, which is used by him for influencing all the Jivatmas, and under the influence of that Maya, Jiva will start reading, the Jiva will forget the form of Brahma, and it will not be identifying its own self, and therefore won't even identify Brahma. So that process is explained here, that the first step is that Maya covers the intellect of the being. Secondly, the Maya will be creating elusive subjects in the intellect of the beings, which are replica of the worldly objects, but those are elusive. Just for example, that there is a chair in front of me. Now chair is a chair which is the Sadansh of Brahma. It means it is created out of the Sat attribute of Brahma, and as a part of that, the Sat attribute of Brahma, that object is real, and that object is a form acquired by Brahma. This is the ideal form. But what happens when Maya affects us? That first of all, the real form of the chair, it means that we will stop identifying the chair as the form of Brahma. This is the first step. Secondly, I will be identifying the chair as my chair, that it belongs to me. I am the owner of the chair. Now this is the image of the chair which is in my mind, and it is elusive because nothing belongs to anyone in this world. Everything is the form acquired by Brahma. So this is how, by reflecting everything in our Maya, we create an independent world of us in our mind, and therefore it will be the replica of the world created by Brahma, but we won't be identifying any of those material as the form of Brahma, but we will be identifying it as related to our ahanta or mamta. It means, for example, my body. Now what is my body? Even it is the form of Brahma, but I will not identify it as a form of Brahma, but I will be identifying my body as Maitri Goswami, and I am having the ego of being Maitri. So this is how we create a different, distinct world in our mind, which adds the attributes of considering something good, something bad. We will like something, we won't like something. We will be having a good mindset regarding something, we will be having a bad mindset regarding something. We will be loving some person, we will hate some person. So when we attach any of such emotions with any of the worldly object, it is a elusive understanding, an elusive relation of us with that object. And this is how we create a completely different world in our mind, which is not created by Bhagavan, but which is created by Maya. And therefore we start living in that world, not in the world which is created by Bhagavan, because the world which is created by Bhagavan doesn't have anything good or bad, because Bhagavan himself has acquired those forms. So there is nothing to consider something as good or bad, or titling something as lovable or to hate something. So everything in the universe is a part of Brahma, a form of Brahma, and that's its real identity. But when we start attaching other identities to any of the worldly objects, it doesn't remain as a form of Brahma, but it is the elusive replica of that object which is in our mind, through which we are attaching our emotions. And it is not the karya of Brahma, but that elusive attached identity of the whole universe and each and every form of the universe is created in our mind by Maya. This is the process of infusion. It means this is how Maya hides the real form of the object, and it will start showing you the wrong and elusive image of the universe. So for example, that some object has its natural color, but when we throw red or green light on it, we won't be able to see its real colors, but we'll be having the image, or we'll be able to see it as being of red color or green color. So same way the Maya will stop making us identify the real form of the object as the form of Brahma, but we will become ignorant about the real form and start considering it as good or bad, or high or low, noble or ignoble, pleasant, unpleasant, etc. So this is the effect of Maya, under which, under the influence of Maya, we will be living in completely elusive sansar. It is known as sansar. Write it down. There we will be understanding it further. There is a difference between Jagat and sansar. Jagat means universe, which is created by Bhagavan and which is created out of Sadansh and Chidansh of Brahma. But the sansar, we don't have any English term for that, so I cannot give you the synonym of that in English. But sansar means the illusive world which is created under the effect of Maya in our mind. So when we start considering the objects of the universe being your or mine, or we start considering it as good or bad, or noble or ignoble, pleasant, unpleasant. So all these emotions attached to the worldly object creates a replica of the universe, creates a completely different form of the universe in front of us, which is known as sansar. I hope this is clear. You can ask anything if you want, any one of you.
So just to clarify, so every time we attach like any type of possession or any type of opinion about this universe, or like for any type of opinion or emotion, attach it to this universe, this is like a replica that we see, and this is like the wrong illusion that we see of the universe, and this is called samsara, which is about Maya. So Maya creates this in order to like delude us from seeing the actual universe created by Brahma. So is this true?
whatever sort of opinion we make regarding the universe or the objects of the universe is completely false, because any of the worldly object is only the form of Brahma and it doesn't have any other identity. But under the influence of Maya, we start attaching other identities to it, and therefore we just remain in completely a different world, which is not created by Brahma but which is created by Maya.
Okay,
And
so
that's the only reason we are not able to see the universe as the form of Brahma. We are not able to behave with the universe as being a form of Brahma, and therefore we always make some opinion having prejudice regarding any of the object, and therefore it doesn't remain the form of Brahma for us, but it will be a matter of our opinion for us, and therefore we have bounded able to identify the Brahma, we are not able to understand the Brahma, and we are not even able to concentrate upon Brahma. So, because of that Maya, we will be bound under our own opinions, and therefore we feel happiness and sadness. Just because, as I gave the example yesterday, that just because I am considering the chair to be mine, it means I start considering it as mine. I have the opinion regarding it to be mine. Therefore, I feel sad when the chair is broken or when the chair is stolen. But for example, I just consider the chair as the form of Brahma and not considering it of any sort of my belongingness. I won't be sad whatever happens to it, because for me it is just a form of Brahma. Same about relations also. For example, if I am considering you as my friend and someone other one as my enemy, I will be feeling happiness and sadness because of you both. But for example, I start considering that even you are a form of Brahma and that second person also is a form of Brahma. I won't even feel any sort of happiness. I even won't feel any sort of sadness. So I'll be free from the worldly bondages, and this is what liberation means.
Ji Raj, I understand. So like just to like clarify, so there's like basically kind of like two types of universes. Like one is like samsara and the other is jagat. And we're living in samsara, which means that it is like the Mayic illusion. So in order to let go of like this universe, kind of does this like relate to like last class when it was explained like letting go of like converting like the ahanta and mamta into like divine ahanta and mamta? And is this kind of like how we can achieve liberation as well, because we're like letting go of like the Mayic universe and we're understanding that it is false? So is that like a part of like achieving liberation as well?
Yes, indeed.
Okay.
In Bhakti Marg, when you are having devotion towards Bhagavan, you will be surrendering in front of Bhagavan, and therefore each and every object we own, we will be having a feeling that this belongs to Bhagavan. So this is the format of diluting the Maya in devotional path. But in other paths of Jnana Marg and Karma Marg, you just have to identify the object as the form of the Brahma and not related to you. This is how you will be diluting the influence of Maya.
Ji Raj, I understand.
Anyone else? Okay, continue.
Yeah, Vishita. Vishita. The state of watching and understanding all the all the objects under the influence of Maya. Mayic subjects that are produced in the intellect are said to be Vishita. The objects of the universe whose knowledge we have through senses, and because of their being the subjects of the knowledge of senses, are known to be Vishita, the subject. Because of Maya, Vishita, Mayic objects similar to the subjects of the universe is created in the intellect of beings. These subjects are reflected upon the subjects of the universe. For this reason, when we see the subjects of the universe, instead of having the experience of purity of subjects, he begins to have the experience of subjects mixed with Mayic subjects. In this matter, the experience of the subject is of course realistic, but the experience of the subjects that are influenced by Maya is false. For example, a person who moves in a circle will begin to see all objects around him moving around. In this matter, his experience of the color, the shape, and the distance of the objects, like the table, the chair, etc., will remain as real it is. But the sight of the object moving around is not realistic. Similarly, the experience of whatever subjects like the chair, the table, and the house, the family, etc., that we obtain in the universe is realistic. But together with this experience, another type of experience, such as a table is produced, the table is destroyed, the table is good or bad, etc., then we obtain is caused by Maya, or because it is subject to Mayic objects, it is unrealistic and false. Hence, the experience of Vishita, the subjects caused or reflected out of Maya, is nothing but a illusion. Here we should give attention to one thing: Maya created
the first paragraph.
Okay. So, as you said earlier, this paragraph is explaining how we have a false understanding that something is good, bad, or ours under the influence of Maya. So we create the sansar in our own world, thinking that this is ours or this is theirs, this is good or bad, and we start thinking that because of Maya. But really, everything is just brown. So if we keep thinking that everything is brown, we will sort of not be in the bondages of Maya.
Yeah. So Vishay and Vishayata. We have two terms. Write down this. Vishay and Vishayata. Vishay means the object which is the form of Brahma. It will be known as Vishay. Now, under the influence of Maya, when that object of the world is reflected upon our Maya, and we create an illusionary identity of that same object, that illusionary form of it is known as Vishayata. So, this explains that Mayic objects which are produced in our intellect under the influence of Maya are known as Vishayata, and the objects of the universe which are in its real form are the form of Brahma, they are known as Vishay, the subject. We attain the knowledge of that object through our senses, and then we'll be developing an illusionary image of that same object. And under the influence of Maya, Vishayata, it means the Mayic objects which are similar to the subjects of universe is created in the intellect of beings. So these subjects are reflected upon the subjects of the universe, and therefore the object under the influence of which we are is not the Vishay. It is not the form of Brahma, but it is the illusionary image of the object which we have created in our mind. So we are under that influence. the experience of the subject is of course realistic. It means what we are experiencing, the chair which we are seeing in front of us, it is the form of Brahma. But our mentality regarding that experienced object is influenced by Maya and it is false. So here the example is given that, for example, the person who moves in a circle will begin to see all the objects around him moving around. But actually, all the objects around him are straight. They are stable. They are not moving. But as we are moving, we will be finding everything to be moving. So same way, even under the influence of Maya, we'll be start considering the whole universe to be of our relation, to be good or bad, or to be pleasant or unpleasant. But actually, nothing is pleasant, nothing is unpleasant, nothing is good, nothing is bad. Everything is just a form of Brahma. It is the real identity of that object. But altogether, with this experience, another type of experience, such as the table is produced, the table is destroyed, the table is good or bad, etc., are obtained in our mind under the influence of Maya, and because of it, we are not experiencing or we are not feeling the real object, but we are considering the Maic object, and therefore we feel the happiness and sadness regarding all the objects which we are seeing. And we just stop considering that object as the form of Brahma. This is what Vishaya and Vishayata means. So just to provide it a definition, write it down that Vishaya is the real form of the object, which is the form of Brahma. Vishayata is the replica image of that same object, which is created in our mind with prejudiced, influenced by Maya. It will be known as Vishayata. So, to provide an example, the chair in front of me, being the form of the Brahma, is Vishaya. But the same chair in front of me, being of my ownership, is Vishayata. It is not Vishaya. I hope this is clear. If any one of you is having any doubts, we will be considering those questions tomorrow. Let us conclude here for today's session.
Dhanva pranam Acharya.